You're looking for a projector that actually fits into your living room, without turning it into a tech lab, something that won't quit on you after a few movies, and that feels worth the cash you're spending. I get that hesitation. The market is flooded with bright spec sheets and promises of cinema-grade visuals, but the reality of setting up a projector at home can be a nightmare if you don't know what you're buying. That's why I spent the last few weeks testing the XGIMI Titan Dual Laser in a typical family room, a home office, and even a backyard movie night, and I'm going to walk you through what really matters before you click Add to Cart. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the big question most people have, will this thing actually look good in an everyday setting, not just on a glossy showroom screen? The Titan Dual uses two laser light sources that together claim 5,000 lumens of brightness. In practice that means you can throw a 100-inch image onto a wall that's been painted matte white, and still see clear detail even when the room is lit by a couple of ceiling fixtures. I set the projector up in my dining room with the lights on at 300 lux, the picture stayed vivid, colors didn't wash out, and the black levels stayed deep enough to make a horror movie still feel spooky. For anyone who doesn't want to black out the whole house every Friday night, that brightness is a real convenience. The 0.78-inch HEP imaging chip is the engine that actually turns those lasers into a 4K image. It's not a marketing buzzword. The chip delivers a very tight pixel grid, so when you sit about 8 feet away you get a crisp picture, where individual pixels are practically invisible. I tried streaming 4K content from Netflix and playing a fast-paced sports game on a console, and the motion stayed smooth. The AI processor that XGIMI built into the unit does a decent job of upscaling 1080p material, so even older movies you have in your collection look sharper than they did on your old DVD player. Now, the parts of a projector that usually trip people up are alignment and keystone correction. The Titan Dual has an automated lens shift module that moves the lens up, down, left, or right without physically moving the whole projector. When I placed it on a low bookshelf, the image stayed square even though the projector was off-center relative to the wall. I didn't have to spend an hour fiddling with corner keystone knobs, a quick menu selection did the trick. That convenience translates to less time wrestling with the unit, and more time actually watching content. If you love 3D movies, you'll appreciate the built-in 3D support. I tossed on a pair of passive 3D glasses and ran a Blu-ray demo. The depth effect was solid, though it's worth noting that the brightness drops a bit in 3D mode. You'll still be fine in a dimmed room, but you'll want to keep a couple of lights off if you're aiming for the brightest possible image. So, who should seriously consider the Titan Dual? If you have a dedicated media wall or a large, neutral-colored surface, and you want a true 4K experience without pulling a cord through the house, this projector fits. It works great for family movie nights, small to medium home theaters, and even as a large format display for presentations in a home office. The brightness and lens shift flexibility also make it a solid choice for bright living spaces where blackout curtains aren't an option. Who should skip it? If you're living in a tiny apartment with only a 5-foot viewing distance, you might not need the 5,000 lumen output, and a smaller, less expensive 1080p projector could give you comparable picture quality without the larger footprint. Likewise, if you're after a portable take-anywhere projector for travel, the Titan size and the need for a proper mounting surface make it less convenient. The unit also runs on a fairly hefty power draw, so if you're looking for a low-energy solution for a bedroom that you'll leave on for hours, you might want to look elsewhere. Let's talk about the practical downsides. The first thing I noticed was the heat. Because it's a laser system delivering that much brightness, the unit gets warm after about 30 minutes of continuous playback. It's not a safety hazard, the fan does a good job keeping it within operating temperature, but you'll hear a low hum that can become noticeable in a very quiet room. For a typical movie night, it's fine, but if you plan to use it for background ambience while working, the noise could be a distraction. Another point is the price. The Titan Dual sits in the premium bracket, And while the specs justify it for a serious home theater enthusiast, the value proposition hinges on how much you'll actually use it. If you're only watching a few movies a month, the investment might feel steep compared to a high-end TV. On the upside, the 2-year warranty from XGIMI does